Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So, we're going to do a relaxed, calm football result catch-up from the week's results. We're going to be looking, of course, starting with the crazy final to the African Cup of Nations, moving on to the Premier League, Championship, Bundesliga, Eredivisie, La Liga, Ligue and Serie A. And let's start with, there's so much to say with regards to the African Cup of Nations. Let's get started. No info available. That doesn't shock me totally. To be honest, I could talk about it quite easily without even looking at this. The African Cup of Nations was a little bit crazy, wasn't it? So, the African Cup of Nations, I didn't end up watching many matches from it. I think it was becoming a little bit predictable. The top two teams in Africa reached the final, and it was all kind of procedural. Morocco looked set to win the tournament, and then the final happened. Okay, I didn't watch it live, but I've watched videos online and read lots of reactions to it. So I'm going to talk about it from a third-person perspective, just in case you didn't realise what happened. Okay, so 90 minutes, back and forth, very few chances on goal, like maybe 2 or 3 from each team. Senegal scored in the 92nd minute, so the second minute of additional time, 8 minutes additional time. And it was not given. The referee blew his whistle before the ball went in the back of the net, so VAR couldn't check it. That's crucial. There was a hand on Haki, or 2 hands on Hakimi, who fell to the floor. If you see it in real time, if I say that, you think, oh, well, it's a foul. It absolutely isn't. Hakimi just falls over. But he's got his hands on the defender. He's almost defending, fouling the defender more than anything. And it's not given because the referee sees the foul and blows immediately before the goal goes in. So it's not given. So they're quite furious about this. And because VAR can't even intervene because he blew his whistle so early. And then 5 minutes later, 97th minute, there's a cross or a corner into the box, and Brahim Diaz, the top scorer of the competition, falls to the floor, gets up, remonstrates, runs towards the referee, screaming at him, and the VAR tells the referee to go over and look at the screen. So the Senegalese player did sort of have a hand on his shoulder and sort of went like that, but honestly, if he had the power to pull someone over doing that, he would be the world's strongest man. Brahim Diaz just kind of flops to the floor and then runs around and screams about having a penalty. So at this point, 1 minute to go, or well, actually there's no time left because the VAR check took ages. Loads of people surrounding the referee, chaos starting to happen. I hear that there was a bit of crowd trouble as well, potentially, and he awards the penalty. At this point, the Senegalese manager tells his players to leave the pitch out of protest to the bad refereeing and the fact that they should have been given a goal and it wasn't given, and then the softest penalty was given against them, and he takes them off, apart from a couple, including Sadio Mane, who stays on the pitch and basically runs in after about 10 minutes and gets them out of the changing room and tells them to carry on. At which time the coach is on board with Sadio Mane's decision, and he's like, yeah, go on, get back on, we'll just lose, you know. Because at that point in time, I think they were just going to, like, concede defeat. Like, yeah, it was bizarre. And then Brahim Diaz takes the penalty. Oh, God. and he tries a panenka. If you know what a panenka is, it's just basically where you just chip the ball into the middle of the goal. And even Zidane's failed to do it in his career. I've seen Zidane do it successfully, Aaron Ramsey doing successfully, like a literal hand full of real big stars. He messes it up completely. It floats harmlessly. It's like literally not even a back pass. It's too gentle to be a back pass to the goalkeeper. And then immediately the whistle is blown for extra time. Extra time starts. The Senegalese are so like get out of jail free, incensed by all the decisions. They run down the pitch and score an absolute screamer from outside the box. Absolute screamer. And then Morocco pile forward, hit the bar. Senegal miss a goal on the counter-attack, like literally miss an open goal on the counter-attack. There's many more Moroccan chances. Brahim Diaz has been taken off crying at this point by the ref, and I haven't seen it, but in some comment I saw that Regragui, the coach, was like berating him, but I've not seen evidence of that. And Brahim Diaz is like absolutely in tears and everything. And then Senegal win it. So the fallout is that the coach of Morocco said it was a disgrace and that Senegal have disgraced African football. Everyone piled online and criticised Morocco, said that they had been part of bribery all the way through the tournament to get penalty decisions and refereeing decisions, and no one was supporting them. All these people in the comment section for all the different videos I watched were unanimously against Morocco. Obviously there's no evidence of any bribery or anything, but yeah, basically just completely piling on. And obviously there's that debate over should Senegal have gone off the pitch. I'm gonna get slammed in the comment section. I kind of understand it. I'm a passionate person. It's it's not just your club, it's your country you're representing, and there had been like other things that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. There was security concerns. They got mobbed when they got off the train, although someone pointed out somewhere that they basically said on social media at what time they're arriving on the train to Rabat, and like they didn't take a coach and they didn't fly, so that was kind of their fault. But there was like no security there and they got mobbed. And there were like issues with the hotel, apparently. There were a couple of other things, and lots of people also, which is completely aside from this, have criticised the home crowds in Morocco for like whistling whenever anyone else had the ball apart from Morocco. I guess similar to how you're treated if you go to have a match in Galatasaray Stadium in Istanbul. So yeah, I mean I don't really have a strong opinion about this. I think that Brahim Diaz should never have done a penalty. Literally just stick the ball into the back of the net and get the match over and done with. It's so poor. Some people even suggested there's like a conspiracy theory that he deliberately didn't score the goal, but then obviously he went off crying. And he fell over in the box and screamed at the referee to check VAR. So that's nonsense. He definitely tried to score. And lots of people have said in comment sections as well that he was thinking about his Instagram reels and having this last minute penalty, but he obviously messed it up for Morocco in their 50 years and they still haven't won the African Cup of Nations more than once. Senegal have won it twice now in the last 5 years. So yeah, I sympathise with the Senegalese in a way. I'm a passionate guy. I don't say it's the right decision, but I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it either. I can't substantiate on any comments about bribery or match fixing for the home team for Morocco or anything. I don't really think that's probably true at all. Usually you do have someone, referees are a little bit biased towards the home teams. That's not unusual. And I don't really care about the whistling. I think, I'd rather that than complete silence in a stadium if I was a player, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think that it was a crazy, crazy final. Has it put African football into disrepute? A little bit, particularly because it was just so chaotic at the end of the match that, you know, we've got a World Cup there in 4 years. What happens then if, you know, we have Brazil against Argentina, or, you know, it's going to be a little bit crazy. So I hope that they learn lessons and use this as a massive preparation. I think Senegal will go into the next World Cup being very confident, and they've obviously got an excellent team. They're currently trying to persuade Sadio Mane to play one more African Cup of Nations. He said this would be his last. I think he came out of it the best of all. He helped set up the goal for Senegal, and he obviously got them back on the pitch. So lots of people were very passionately talking about this online. I wonder what your opinion is. I'm kind of on the fence about it all, but equally I do think it was a very crazy final spectacle to quite a sort of underwhelming tournament overall. I wonder what you think. Okay, let's look at the last couple of matches for the Premier League. We had quite a few weird results on the weekend. So Arsenal drew, Man City and Liverpool both lost. Liverpool drew as well. Man United won, Chelsea won, Brentford lost, Newcastle drew, and all the way down to the bottom, these bottom teams did better than the top team. So Nottingham Forest drew, West Ham won, we'll talk about that in a second, and Burnley drew, and Wolves drew as well. They got Man City next out. So let's look at those results. So we had Man United beating Man City in the derby with their new interim manager Michael Carrick, who's trying to restore this identity I spoke about last week. And Wayne Rooney's come out and said, you know, he looked a bit more Fergie era tactics. And yeah, Man City basically were extremely underwhelming. It wasn't a close match from what I watched. 2.27 to 0.45. Erling Haaland even got substituted. They just never looked like scoring, really. Chelsea 2, Brentford 0. Again, new manager in at Chelsea, putting a halt to Brentford's excellent form. João Pedro and Palmer with a penalty, so they're up and running under the new manager bounce. Finally, I should say, a loss for Fulham after their excellent run, with a brilliant goal from Unmecha at the death, 1-0 to Leeds. Leeds, who are doing much, much better. They look like they are quite secure in the Premier League now after having a sort of tricky start. Liverpool's problems continue. Viet's looking much, much better, but could only draw against Burnley at home, so that's kind of shocking, really. Sunderland beating Crystal Palace on free fall. Glasner said that he's going at the end of the year. He might be sacked before that, because he says that he feels that he and the team are abandoned by the owners. They've sold Mark Gay. They haven't really replaced Eze. Just it's not a positive place at the minute, and such a shame. Lefay and Pobby with the goals for Sunderland, who are obviously having a fantastic season. Tottenham, boring Tottenham 1, West Ham 2, and I know that for Spurs fans sometimes this derby is kind of more important than the Arsenal derby, so this is an absolute shocker. Romero with the only goal, which at the time was an equaliser, but then Wilson scoring. Losing at home to West Ham is just unacceptable. I read the news today, half expecting Frank to be gone, but he's hanging on by a thread before the Champions League match this week. Their form in the Champions League has been pretty decent actually this year so far, so if he starts losing there as well, then I think he's a goner. And then Nottingham Forest getting a 0-0 draw with Arsenal, with an excellent performance by Seld by all accounts. So Arsenal didn't go, I think 9 points maybe they could have gone. Wolves and Newcastle, excellent game. I watched this, it was just end to end. Either team could have won it. The manager has really got Wolves up and running, I'm not saying he'll save them this season because his deficit when he came in was just too much, but they would go straight back up if he gets them playing like this in the Championship. And Newcastle looking pretty decent as well. And then another shocker, I watched the first half, and to be honest, I wasn't surprised that Everton won this. Aston Villa weren't at the races, they weren't themselves. And Barry looked very bright in the first half, so the fact that he scored in the second half, now he's up and running and getting goals, doesn't shock me, because Aston Villa just could have gone second and didn't really look up for it. Everton bested them. And then Brighton-Bournemouth tonight. Late goal from Kostoulas to save the home team. 1-1 from the little mini derby from the south coast. And then Championship, Coventry City still absolutely brilliant on top. Middlesbrough in second. 2 wins on the bounce for them now. Ipswich on a brilliant run. They're in third, Millwall equally, but they've got Coventry next. Hull in fifth, and Preston North End in sixth. Then you've got Wrexham in 10th, and they are only 3 points from the promotion spots. And Birmingham are in 14th, Leicester in 13th, my team Swansea in 16th. Our home form keeping us going at the moment, but that draw was kind of irritating. Really should have won that against Birmingham. 2 bad results against Birmingham this year now, because we lost in the dying minutes to them, if I remember correctly, away from home. And then we got Blackburn, Portsmouth, Norwich still in 22nd, but they've managed to get a win. Oxford in 23rd, and Sheffield Wednesday down the bottom. Okay, Scotland. Hearts are still top by 6 points, but they've got Celtic next. And then Rangers have a chance, depending on that result, to grab second spot. Motherwell in 4th, Hibs in 5th, and Falkirk doing brilliantly in 6th. And then Livingston down the bottom. In the Welsh Premier we've gone to the second stage, so TNS are 6 points ahead of Connors Quay at the top, but they're not having it all their own way. And down the bottom are Llanelli with only 8 points. Northern Ireland Larne are top, and Coleraine are second. Glentoran, Linfield make up the top 4. The MLS hasn't started back up yet. Bundesliga. So Bayern Munich on this record-breaking run. They haven't lost a single game. They are in top spot with 50 points. Borussia Dortmund are in second. Hoffenheim and Stuttgart 3rd and 4th. So Hoffenheim having a fantastic run. Leipzig down into 5th now, but they've got Heidenheim next, so maybe they can pick up some points there. Bayer Leverkusen in 6th and Frankfurt in 7th. Cologne in 10th and Hamburg in 14th. Heidenheim, Mainz and St. Pauli now bottom, and they've got the derby next. If they're going to start picking up points, then that's a good time to do so. Friday night's match was a 3-3 match between Werder Bremen and Frankfurt. Dortmund beat St. Pauli 3-2 with a 96th minute winner penalty from Emre Can. Köln beat Mainz 2-1. 2 goals from Ache. Hamburg drew with Mönchengladbach. Hoffenheim beat Leverkusen 1-0. Goal from Burger. Wolfsburg Heidenheim 1-1. Bayern scored 5 away at Leipzig. Gnabry, Kane, Tar, Pavlovic and Olise. I read Olise is being courted by Real Madrid at the moment. I don't know how much of a rumour that is. Stuttgart Berlin 1-1. Stuttgart have got Roma in the Europa League next. And Augsburg Freiburg 2-2. Serie A. Inter are starting to take shape as the top team. Milan, who have got Roma next, are in second, 3 points behind, and 3 points behind them on Napoli, with Roma just a further point away. Juve, surprisingly lost, have Napoli next, and are 3 points behind Roma now. Como doing brilliantly. They're in 6th under Cesc Fabregas. And then we've got Atalanta, Bologna, Lazio in 9th. And Fiorentina out of the relegation spots now after 4 games without a loss. Lecce, Pisa and Verona down the bottom. So on Friday we had Pisa drawing with Atalanta 1-1. Inter beat Udinese 1-0 with a goal from Martinez. Cagliari shock win over Juventus, Mazzitelli with the only goal. Napoli beat Sassuolo 1-0, goal from Lobotka, he doesn't score many. Parma Genoa 0-0. Fiorentina beat Bologna with goals from Mandragora and Piccoli. Roma finally have beaten Torino after losing at home to them early in the season and being put out of the cup last midweek. But we had new purchase Donny Mala from on loan with an option to buy from Aston Villa. He scored. It was ruled out by VAR for the most fractional offside. His big toe was offside. And then 2 minutes later he scored again. Dybala set up both of those, and then Dybala scored himself. And it's his lowest goal-scoring season, so he was visibly relieved. And they came back in the second half, apart from Dybala's goal against the run of play. But the first half we looked absolutely fantastic, and Donny Mala really made a difference for us. That was good. And Milan beat Lecce with a goal from Niklas Füllkrug, who has come from West Ham, but West Ham are furious he's actually scored on his debut. And then Cremonese, Verona 0-0, and Como beating Lazio in the Stadio Olimpico 3-0 with 2 more goals from that man Pass. Okay, let's go to the Eredivisie. PSV Eindhoven still top, 52 points. Feyenoord who lost again, so PSV are running away with it. Ajax with a better chance of catching them now in 3rd. Nijmegen is still in 4th. Wow, they're having a fantastic season. Groningen, Twente both in good form. Then Sparta Rotterdam, we'll have a look at their result in a second. And Alkmaar make up the top 8. Utrecht not doing well at all, down in 10th. And Volendam climbing out of the relegation zone, putting Telstar down there with Breda and Heracles. And the results were Ajax drawing with Go Ahead Eagles 2-2. Dolberg scoring again for the club he's come back to. Zwolle 3, Alkmaar 1. Excelsior Telstar 2-2. Fortuna Sittard 1, PSV 2, with goals from Vanna and Perisic. Perisic looks like a young player again. Breda 3, Nijmegen 4. Heerenveen 0, Groningen 2, the Battle of the North. Volendam beating Utrecht 2-1, goals from Idaho and Kvaas. Twente beating Heracles 2-0, and big result for Sparta Rotterdam, beating Feyenoord 4-3. Kitolano with 2 goals from Berge and Mito, despite Van Persie's 2 goals. Okay, then we're going to go to France before Spain. Lens are still top. Paris Saint-Germain in 2nd, Marseille in 3rd, Lyon, Lille and Rennes. And then we've got Nice in 15th, Nantes, Auxerre and Metz down the bottom. And in terms of recent results, Monaco losing again, this time to Lorient 3-1. Paris Saint-Germain beating Lille 3-0, goals from Dembélé 2 from him and Bacola with 1. Lens beating Auxerre with a goal from Saïd. Toulouse hammering Nice, who are in trouble this year, 5-1. Marseille beating Angers 5-2 away from home. Guiri, Greenwood, Traore, Weah and Paixão. Strasbourg beating Metz 2-1. Nantes losing at home to Paris FC 2-1. Rennes drawing with Le Havre, Mbolo, cancelling out Mambimbi's goal. And then Lyon beating Brest 2-1, goals from Schultz and Abner. And then on to Spain before we finish. Barcelona still top by just 1 point now, after they lost their last match. Villarreal and Atletico Madrid make up the top 4, with Espanyol, who have started to lose matches, and Real Betis. And Real Sociedad in 9th. They're on a good run. We'll see their result in a second. Athletic Club in 10th. And Sevilla in 14th. Valencia in 17th, but they finally got a win. And it was against Getafe just above them, so very, very important win. Then Deportivo Alavés, Levante and Real Oviedo in the relegation spots. And the results were as follows. Girona beating Espanyol 2-0, goals from Vanat, both of them. Real Madrid beating Levante with their new caretaker manager. Mbappe with a penalty and Asensio. Then Mallorca beating Athletic Club 3-2. Osasuna beating Real Oviedo 3-2. Real Betis beating Villarreal 2-0, so Real Betis coming strong, trying to get Champions League by the looks of it. Ruibal and Fornals with the goals. And then Valencia, like I said, beating Getafe with a goal from Captain Gaya on the 84th minute. A lovely chip of the goalkeeper. Very, very boring match up to that point. Atleti beating Deportivo Alavés 1-0 with a goal from Sörloth. Celta beating Rayo 3-0, and 10-man Real Sociedad beating Barcelona 2-1 with goals from Oyarzabal and Guedes, cancelling out Rashford's only goal, and then Elche Sevilla 2-2. Febas and Valera for the home team, and 2 goals for Eiko Adams, for the away team. Marvellous. Okay, we'll stop there. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then click that like button, engage with a comment, tell me all about the African Cup of Nations, tell me about your team, how they're doing at the moment, are you happy? And if you made it this far and you love it, then click subscribe so you don't miss the next video in this series. And we've got more shirt unboxing coming up this weekend, and I'm going to go out and buy some more tops trading cards for the Premier League booklet, and we'll keep filling those in January, so stick around for more videos coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and